In 1995, India's first ever mobile phone call was made between Kolkata and New Delhi. 25 years later, India has become the world's second largest smartphone market. Mobile communication was so expensive in India back in 1995 that it would cost roughly about Rs 4,900 to buy a prepaid SIM. Every minute on call was charged about Rs 17. However, only 9 years later, mobile connections in India overtook landline connections. So how big is India's smartphone market? In 2014, cheap internet accelerated the usage of smartphones in India. The demand for smartphones skyrocketed and attracted many Chinese smartphone brands. The launch of Reliance Jio in 2016 triggered a reduction in data prices and another boom in the smartphone market in India. In 2019, India surpassed the US to become the world's second largest market for smartphones after China. According to an IDC report, India's smartphone market shipped 152.5 million units in 2019. A modest 8% year-over-year growth was marked, but India faced a coronavirus heat too. By the end of the first quarter of 2020 in March, India was down to a 4% year-over-year growth. March alone accounted for a 19% year-on-year dip. Who are the key players in India's smartphone market space? As India entered 2020, Chinese smartphone companies Xiaomi and Vivo were leading the market. South Korean smartphone company Samsung was trailing behind at the third position. Another Chinese company, Oppo, marked 83% growth in the first quarter of 2020 for its budget devices such as A5 2020 and A5s. In 2019, over 70% of the Indian smartphone market was captured by Chinese smartphone companies. The USP for Chinese mobile companies were the cheap and budget smartphones that provided a ton of features at a bargain. Many of these handsets lacked in quality and durability, but that did not deter their popularity among Indian masses. However, India is also a significant market for smartphone companies with premium or high-end products. Chinese company OnePlus carved a niche for itself in India's ultra-premium smartphone segment over the price of Rs 45,000. Apple leads India's ultra-premium smartphone segment with a 55% market share. In 2019, Apple grew a strong 78% year-on-year due to iPhone 11 shipments and discount on e-commerce platforms. How big was Xiaomi's share in India's smartphone market? Xiaomi's share in the Indian market expanded exponentially in the last few years. It emerged as India's top smartphone brand in the last 3 years. Not far behind was the Korean brand Samsung. In 2018, Xiaomi and Samsung dominated the Indian market and accounted for almost half of the sales in the country. Xiaomi had overtaken Samsung in 2018 by launching its Redmi series that offered smartphones in the affordable range of Rs 15,000. This is the fastest growing segment in India's smartphone market. How Samsung overtook Xiaomi to become India's top smartphone brand. In Q1 of 2020, Xiaomi was still leading the Indian market. Things changed when the coronavirus pandemic brought the economic activities in the country to a screeching halt in late March. The outbreak had emerged out of the Chinese city of Wuhan and spread to the entire world. China's failure in containing the disease from spreading to other countries turned the public opinion against China worldwide. However, the Indian market for Chinese companies shifted significantly when the military and diplomatic relations between India and China soured. Indian and Chinese troops engaged in a skirmish in eastern Ladakh along the LAC in July. Both countries are engaged in a standoff at the LAC. The Indian government banned many Chinese apps and discouraged Chinese businesses under its new policy to reduce dependence on Chinese products. This public sentiment against China percolated in the smartphone market too. Meanwhile, Samsung maintained its position at the third spot in India in Q1 2020. It launched several models in the affordable premium segment such as S10 Lite and Note 10 Lite. Pent-up smartphone demand after the lockdown pushed the volumes to pre-COVID levels in June 2020. Samsung recovered from the slowdown and captured the first spot with a 24% market share. Samsung aggressively pushed its product on online channels, which helped in propelling its growth. Samsung also reported a 59% rise in quarterly global operating profit. US restrictions on China's Huawei boosted Samsung's phone and chip sales.